Hi everyone, right in front of you there are a total of 9 liquid cooler which I'm going to test today on their performance, be it on Intel or AMD. And I'll be using their original fans on each Liquid AIO. Now before I begin, I'd like to thank all the brandings to have supported me and to provide all this unit to me. Starting off with AMD, Arctic, Deepcool, Geometrics Future, Arza, and to my marketing agent, Tech Dynamic and Block Soda. Thank you very much. And as for the EK, this I have come up with my own pocket money. Now, for those of you who actually wanted to watch others like Corsair and NZXT, I did try to write to them, but they didn't respond to me. So these are the ones that I can compare with. These are the 9 Liquid AIOs, and they are of all 360 variant. Starting off with the first one, which is the ID Cooling Space SL360. Next will be the EK Nucleus AIO CR360 Dark, followed by the Arctic Liquid Freezer 360 ARGB Black. Next will be the AMD Galahad 2 Trinity Performance, the Deepcool LT720, the Acer Cube 360. Next will be the AMD Galahad 2 LCD 360, the Deepcool Mystic 360, and the last will be Geometrics Future Eskimo 36. This is how I conduct a test, which is an open bench. First thing to take note is my room temperature, which is hovering around 30 to 31 degrees Celsius. And I'll be testing on the Intel platform, also the AMD platform. Now, the arrangement that I've done, right, in order for me to fit all the AIO cold plate to the IHS, which is your processor, I do not use thermal paste. Instead, I'll be using thermal pad, and these are specialized, meant for the processor. I just want to have a equal comparison so that there won't be too much paste or too little paste when I apply the cold plate to the IHS. Now, next will be the arrangement on how I fit the AIO and how I place the radiator. As you can see on my left, this is whereby the fans, right, is located behind the radiator. This is pulling cool air and to pass through the radiator, and you will sweep off some of the heat from the motherboard. So all the AIO I've done, right, is in this arrangement. For the component used in this test, starting off with Intel, I'll be making use of the i7-13700K processor on a ASUS ProArt Z790 motherboard. And as for RAM, coming from Team Group, Delta DDR5 32GB kit. And as for the PSU, a Cooler Master SFX 850V2. And as mentioned, this is an open bench. If you have not noticed, I did not make use of any discrete graphic card. Reason being, right, I want to make use of the integrated graphic card that is built in this 13700K processor. So during the stress, right, it will not only stress the processing, but also the graphical content. Then I'll do the recording on the thermal. Now, as for the UEFI configuration on this ProArt, I have enabled the XMP profile, as you can see over here. Next, we'll be setting the power limit, PL1 and PL2, known as the long duration package power limit or the short duration package power limit. I've set it both to 253 watt, whereby this is the max TDP of what this 13700K can cater for. Then next, I've set the offset of the vCore, as you can see over here, a negative value of 0.05 volt. On the AMD side, I made use of the Ryzen 9 7950X processor on a MSI B650M Mortar motherboard, and the RAMs is G.Skill Z5 Neon DDR5 32GB kit. And as for the power supply, similar to Intel, which is the Cooler Master SFX 850V2. Again, it's open bench. And again, no discrete graphic card, as I'm making use of the APU, which is the integrated graphic card on this processor. For the UEFI configuration of this MSI B650M Mortar motherboard, I've enabled the export profile, as you can see over here. Next, I've done the precision boost overdrive, which I've set the PPT to 192, the TDC to 152, and EDC to 170. Inclusive of the curve optimizer, I've set to all cores to -15. And I've also done the offset on the vCore, as you can see over here, it's negative 0.05 volt. These are the applications which I'll be using to test on both platform, which is the Intel or AMD. And for every Liquid AIO when I mounted on this platform, right, I will run Cinebench R23 for the first 30 minutes, which is not recorded. Then I'll let it idle for 5 minutes. Then I will do the actual 10 minutes throttle test, which is recorded. And why do I have to do the 30 minutes? I just wanted the Liquid AIO to sit properly off the mounting on the processor itself. That's why I did the 30 minutes first and let it idle at 5. And the final recording, which is 10 minutes. And of course, this 10 minutes, right, it will be fast forwarded until the last 10 seconds. You'll be able to see the stats gradually moving. Now, in order to put the stats, I have to make use of hardware info, and making use of this tool called River Tuner, which you can see over here, to show you all the stats using Unigine Valley. And for AMD platform, right, there is additional application, which is the Ryzen Master, where I show you the actual configuration, as in like the PPT, EDC, and TDC. For the actual run on all Liquid AIOs individually, you will be seeing something like this, be it Intel or AMD. For Intel, this is what you're going to see, whereby I show you the diagram of the AIO that I'm testing on, and having the Cinebench R23 to run, and you'll see that the clock will be counting down, and these are the stats that you'll be seeing. Same goes to your AMD platform, whereby it shows you the Cinebench R23, the stats, and the Liquid AIO that I'm testing on, with additional stats on the Ryzen Master, as this is the indication that to show you the PPT is at fixed voltage that I've set, the TDC and the EDC. Now, for each platform, Intel or AMD, I have to split the 9 AIOs. So starting off with Intel, where I have stated part 1, you'll be seeing 4 Liquid AIOs showing at the same time. Because if I add all together, right, you can't see the stats at all. So with this said, right, I will first run part 1, then right after part 1, I will talk about the results, picking one of the best Liquid AIO to move forward to part 2. So this is what you'll be seeing again. Then next, pulling 3 more AIOs, which is listed at the top 2 and the bottom left. And on my right, this is whereby part 1, where I selected the best Liquid AIO, right, to be plugged over here. So we can have a glance at all the AIOs again. Then I'll talk about the results of the 3 Liquid AIOs that is listed here. Then I'll move on to part 3. Where part 3, right, it comes to the last 2 Liquid AIO of the whole 9. So with this said, right, at the top will be the last 2, and at the bottom, right, I'll pull from part 1 and part 2 the best Liquid AIO that I've chosen. Same applying to AMD, whereby I list 4 of the Liquid AIOs. Again, after this, I will be talking about the result, picking one of the best, and to move on with part 2. And part 2, I will draw 3 new Liquid AIOs and plug from the previous part to be listed over here and to do a run again. Then I'll talk about the results, and picking the best of part 2, I'll move on to part 3, where again you will see that the last 2 Liquid AIO being tested alongside with the part 1 and part 2 best Liquid AIO that I've selected. Then right after this whole test, right, I will come to a conclusion whereby I pull out everything and talk about the results. Let's start off with the Intel benchmark. Part 1 of the Intel test is done, and these are all the stats. Now, I need to emphasize this. Some of this Liquid AIO was kind of like shocking to me to have this kind of results, as I'm familiar with some of the AIOs. So what I've done is to remove off the cold plate, remove off the bracket inclusive of the back plate, and to remount it. And every time when I do that, right, 2 to 3 times. In fact, for Arctic I've done 4 times. The rest I've done about 2 times to 3 times. So having to remount and reseat with the thermal pad that I've shown you, I yield the similar result, which is like off 1 degree to 2 degrees difference. With this said, these are the best amount the mounting that I've actually done. So I took them and to record down the recordings which you have seen on the benchmark, and how I derive all this temperature, the clock frequency, and the power wattage drawn are based on the last 2 minutes of the 10 minutes run. And from there I diagnose how high did it touch, as in like how high the temperature goes and how high the clock frequency, and on the power drawn, right, is how low. So amazingly, when I highlight as in the best of all, which Joe Matrix Future Eskimo 36, as you can see, lowest temperature, highest clock speed, lowest temperature in motherboard, and the lowest power drawn in order to get this frequency. So this is the winner for the first round. Let's proceed on with the second round. Part 2 results are out, and kindly ignore the Joe Matrix Future Eskimo 36 Liquid AIO, as this was taken off from part 1. This is just for reference. We will focus on only these 3 Liquid AIO, and as you can see, right, all this in green. As mentioned to you, the lowest temperature on the CPU, the motherboard, the RAMs, and the M.2, and how high can the clock frequency go with a minimum of drawage on the power. In this round, I choose EK. Some of you might be saying that, hey, Cleo, the Galahad 2 Trinity performance, right, does perform well too, as in like the temperature. But look at the main CPU temperature, which is higher than EK. And another reason for it is because of the clock frequency. As you can see, Galahad did not pull as much as EK. And look at the pump. It's pumping about 1000 RPM more compared to the EK, but still not able to, though the power drawn is only 1 watt above, but with this pump speed, right, it's not able to sustain the clock speed, nor to sustain a good temperature. That's the reason why I choose EK. These are the last 2 liquid cooler out of the 9 which I've tested. Kindly ignore the grey wording AIO, which is picked from part 1 and part 2. So focusing on these 2, right, looking at the results that is highlighted in green, I would select Deepcool Mystic 360. Now with this said, right, with part 1, part 2, part 3, I've compiled a final list, which is this. As you can see, those in green wording, this is part 1, part 2, and part 3. And they are shuffled properly, as in like the correct order, which rank on top, which is the EK, followed by the Deepcool, Mystic 360, and the Joe Matrix Future Eskimo 36. I was quite shocked with the results on the Joe Matrix Future Eskimo 36, and it's on the top 3. Reason for this, right, to me this is actually an unknown brand, and thanks to Block Soda to have introduced this brand to me, that I can proceed to do the test. Somehow all the temperature, right, do read out very well as compared to the first two, EK and deep cool, and drawing at a low voltage, which is surprisingly and can sustain at this clock frequency, though it's only 1 degree up. And the reason why I place it third is mainly because of the pump, because it's running above 5,000 and above. And as mentioned, right, this was unknown to me. I've not used this for a long period of time, so I wouldn't know the longevity of this AIO. But else for EK and deep cool, right, I have actually used their pump and such. I mean the Liquid AIO, they are very trustworthy, especially on the deep cool itself. When they came out with the LT720, right, that was one of the best Liquid AIO, which is budget. So having the trust on the pump design and such, I believe this will last long too. That's the reason why I placed number 2. As for EK, right, well, I don't have to say this because a friend of mine that I have pieced up the PC for him, in fact it's not 1, it's 6, all having EK Elite 360, and they are of no issues at all. And other Liquid AIO, right, besides the Elite, they have the ARGB version, they sustain too. That's the reason why I placed EK as 1, Deep Cool Mystic as 2, and Geometrics at 3rd. Now coming to the blue section here, right, blue and red section, the rest of the Liquid AIO, right, I did the same, as in like out of the 5, right, I picked the best and place it up, pick the best again, place it up. It's like eliminating round. So this is the chart where it comes out with, and it is safe that if you were to choose at mid-range, right, I would say that you can actually go for this Liquid AIO, which is drawing pretty good amperage, as you can see over here. I mean voltage, as you can see over here, and the temperature is not too shabby as compared to the top 3. Some is even better, but based on the fact that the clock speed not able to sustain higher than this 3, and also the temperature on the CPU, and some of them the pump is ridiculously high, which is 4K and above, something like the Geometrics. Now, last thing that I like to emphasize, which I was quite shocking to see the results. All this while I've been trusting Arctic Liquid Freezer 2 for a long period of time, be it on Intel or AMD. They did a good job on this, but I guess it's a hit and miss on the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3, whereby they have implemented this contact frame, which is also kind of like, I mean, as there's a saying, if you remove off the locking mechanism on the motherboard, right, you avoid your warranty. So this is one. 2 is that accident might happen when you just accidentally hit the pin. So having to say this, right, I believe the contact frame needs some rework, which, mind you, I tested the Liquid Freezer 3 4 times, removing the mount, reapply the thermal pad in different direction, as in like, shift to the left, shift to the right. I mean, not shift to the right, it's rotate. I am still getting this result whereby it hovers around 88%, 88 degrees Celsius or 87 degrees Celsius, and the rest, right, is 1 or 2 degree difference, which is like kind of like not acceptable to me. And the power drawn, right, though it's not really that high, but as compared to the rest above, right, it's attack more. So with this say, right, I would to advise, if you are on Intel platform, you can choose the first 7, whereby this 2, right, try to avoid if you're on Intel platform. The results of the AMD Part 1 is out, and these are the stats. Well, I was skeptic about Arctic Liquid Freezer 3. In fact, I've done the Intel test before I've done the AMD. So what happened here is that, having a feeling that it's not right, I did dismount the unit, as in like the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3 times. Okay, and these 3 times when I remount it, right, I yield the same result. The difference is only by a degree difference or 2 degrees difference. So I picked the best one. Same goes to the rest of the AIO. To ensure that these are the actual stats that I'm getting, I have dismounted and mounted 3 times of each. And this, I can confirm that, yep, it's a good result coming from Arctic. As you can see, the clock frequency is good, the CPU temperature is good, and also followed by all the temperature of the rest of the components. And though it's not drawing at a low wattage, but it managed to sustain this and have all this value here. This time round, Arctic Liquid Freezer 3 have won the round. AMD Part 2 results are out, and as usual, eliminate the one that is in grey. And as usual, I've actually picked the green wording, and it stands out to be Lianli Galahad 2 Trinity Performance. So this round, I will choose this. And do note that all this AIO have tested 3 times by dismounting and mounting it back. They yield similar results, which differ from 1 to 2 degrees difference. Without saying, again, this time round is the Lianli Galahad 2 Trinity Perf. Finally, the last 2 Liquid AIO tested, and these are the results. Kindly ignore the grey out AIOs. So there we have it. This time around is Lianli Galahad 2 LCD. Alright, I can go now. I'm just kidding. Now, after all this runs on the AMD platform, I've compiled the full list, which you can see here. It's different from Intel. Having the top is Lianli Galahad 2 Trinity Performance, followed by the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3. And the Lianli Galahad 2 LCD. Now, something to talk about all this. Why is it so different from Intel? I believe it's actually the mounting mechanism, whereby what I can tell about it is Arctic Liquid Freezer 3, right? They have the offset for AMD, and it really touches the IHS pretty well as compared to their Intel contact frame. So back to where I was, all this having very good contact on the cold plate to the IHS of the AMD 7000 series, and results are very good. They can push high clock speed and yield low temperature, as you can see over here. Now, as compared to the blue ones, now these are not too shabby too. You can purchase them. It's just that they are not really that top performer, but it's not a, it's not a problem or issue just by 1 or 3 degree difference. See? So you can choose this too, not an issue. But the thing you need to take note is on the Geometrics Future Eskimo 36. Well, on Intel side, yes, it does do very well, but on the AMD side, nope, it's ranking last. Though the temperature is still acceptable, which is at 86 degrees Celsius on the CPU, but I wouldn't use this because it doesn't push the clock speed. And furthermore, the temperature, right, is not really that great on other components. So do take note of that. Now, as for my conclusion on both Intel and AMD platform, I've listed out all the Liquid AIO from the top to the least, as in like ranking top 1 all the way to 9th. Now, something you need to take note, I am testing this in my room, which is 30 to 31 degrees Celsius, and I'm coming from a very hot and humid country. So imagine that whatever cool air that's drawn into the case or surround the open bench, right, it's actually warm air. Unlike when you're in colder countries where you have room temperature of 28 degrees Celsius and such, it's breezy, cool and such. That will deter the performance of all this AIO. So do bear this in mind. I'm testing this out based on what my climate here in Singapore. Now, having said this, right, things that you need to take note about the 3 Liquid AIO, I would say the ID cooling space, the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3, and the Geometrics Future Eskimo 36. Now, for this 3, right, you need to know what kind of platform you are using. If you are using, for example, Intel, right, then you will need to take note about these 2 cooler, which is the ID cooling and the Arctic Liquid Freezer 3. As you can see, right, the temperature is not really that great. It's 87, almost near 90 degrees if you push further. There are no room for you to push at all, actually. As for AMD, right, the only thing that you need to take note, though the temperature is still alright, I wouldn't say it's bad, but still take note. You have better options as in like to choose from the top. So do note on this. Well, I hope you guys have actually enjoyed what I've shared with you. And yes, it took me about 2 weeks to gather this information as I did test again and again, and I have to look at the temperature in my room, make sure that it's around 30-31 degrees Celsius, which most of the time is. With this said, I'd like to thank all the brandings and my marketing agent to have provided all this Liquid AIO, some of them which I have to return. And for those of you who are actually new to my channel, welcome to my channel. If you like my content, do remember to subscribe and to click on the notification bell button. Till then, take care, goodbye, see ya.